Hi, I'm Aris Archontis, and I'm a writer-producer in Los Angeles and owner of Archon Studios. I started using Studio One about a year ago after being frustrated with using multiple DAWs for the production process, doing programming and MIDI in one and then transferring files to another one for mixing. So I was looking for one DAW in 2015 that would allow me to do everything. And although no DAW is perfect, as everybody knows, for my needs, Studio One came the closest to what I was looking for to be able to start and finish a project. So we started talking with Presonus about how we can improve workflow, specifically 3 key areas: navigation, automation, and comping. When it comes to navigation, what we did with a smart tool is combine the range tool and the arrow tool. From the bottom half, we got the arrow tool. On the top half, we got the range tool. This means, first and foremost, that you don't need to move up and down to this part to navigate through your session. You can just click anywhere right inside the waveform. So even if you're zoomed in here and you want to work on this part or start from right here, you don't have to be going up and down anymore. So navigating is instant. As you know, double-clicking with the arrow tool brings forward the dedicated audio editor right here. Double-clicking with the range tool on the top half automatically will split. And actually, this works great also on selections. So if you double-click, this becomes its own thing. Another thing we worked on was enhanced tab to transient with shift as your anchor point. So you can just drop your cursor anywhere you want and then just tab, and by holding shift extend the range. And if you want to cut this again, just double click. That's it. It's done. Another thing we wanted to improve on is loop workflow. No need to set up loop markers or no need to loop to selection with key commands. With loop follow selection, any selection automatically will loop. The moment you want this loop to be over with, you just click and just navigate as normal. Again, tap to transient. Let's say I want this section. This is the section I want to work with. It just loops. And if I wanted to work on the whole region, since by clicking with the arrow tool on the bottom half selects the whole region, automatically we're looping the whole thing. Another thing we worked on is the ability to separate the playback position from the edit selection point. What that means is, let's say I want to focus on this selection right here and I want to edit a specific part. Anywhere I drop my cursor, as you can see, it just plays from there. So let's say if I'm pressing play here and I want to move this selection, obviously in typical Studio One fashion, I can just shift the audio inside. If I go to press play, it will press play from that spot, but I want to hear it in context. I don't want to have to be clicking back all the time, starting my playhead position from here. So if you see up here where my mouse is, with the play start marker, I can separate my starting point with my selection point. So no matter where I am right now, the audio will play from over there. So I can be zoomed in, doing what I do here, and then when I want to hear it in context, all I need to do is just press play. When I'm done with this section, I can just remove it so it acts normal. And let's say I want to start from this section, just drop it back in again, and then focus and do whatever I need to do from that point. When that's done, I'm ready to move on. Automation is another feature we wanted to improve on. So for example, I want to automate the volume on this selection. Obviously with points in Studio One, I have a lot of flexibility on what I can do. But what we wanted to introduce is the bracket. This means that if I have a selection, let's say right here, I want to automatically be able to create automation points for this bracket. So as you can see here, I got my arrow tool here, becomes a range tool over here, and up here it will become automatically a bracket. So I can continue here, select another point, do something else, come here, do this. Now, if I select with the range tool this whole section can be used with the bracket. If I want to trim these points, all I need to do is just select them with the arrow tool. So instead of dragging with the range tool and creating a selection, I can just drag with the arrow tool, and as you can see, only the points are being selected. So then I can move or trim or do whatever I need to do. And with the key command, the shortcut with the ability to transform on the spot, the possibilities are truly endless. Another thing we can do is use tab to transient to select specific parts. Let's say this was a snare drum and I wanted to reduce the volume of it. So now tab to transient works perfectly in automation mode. And there you have it. Comping is another feature that we concentrated on. What we wanted to do is create a way to audition takes faster. So for example, we have the swipe capability here as usual, and before you would need to pretty much double click the regions. Now you can just, as you can see here, you can scroll through the different takes with a shortcut, which means that if I had 20 takes very, very quickly without having to click or scroll up and down, I can just audition them. What I am very excited about though is the ability to go through takes without even opening up the layers. And by that, what do I mean? Let's say I'm pressing play here and I realize that I want to change this section. All I need to do is double click, which now in 3.2 it becomes its own region. And from then on, I can just go through my takes to find the one I like. Select this part, double click. I may want a different ending. And again. And this, of course, reflects also to the layers on the bottom. I'm very excited to be working with PreSonus on this. They've been extremely receptive and open to suggestions and ideas. I believe this is just the beginning.